Mars Mother here. Welcome to the Hour of the Beast. Well, today I wanted to talk about loneliness, and I want to just be honest because I've thought about this in the past. I wasn't actually lonely and suffering from loneliness, and obviously we know there's a difference between being lonely and being alone. But I would say as the years have rolled on, I'm not sure when this all started, but I think we've had this we've had this kind of list of things that have happened to us over the last few years, which started off with kind of Brexit, and we had the energy crisis, we had the cost of living crisis, we had the Ukraine war tied in with that, and then we had obviously COVID, and I feel somewhere, I don't know when it started, but I definitely started suffering from obviously the depression, but that's creeping in, I suppose, and the loneliness. And it's a strange thing because you don't necessarily see loneliness creeping up on you. It just is something that seems to happen and you don't even know it is happening to you. And I think there's a lot of people out there, people that are even married and living with partners, living with families, even young children, who can feel incredibly even isolated and lonely, because if you're stuck in your own head and if you've got nobody to communicate with and talk to and share your inner thoughts and feelings with, and there are so many people that cannot do that, then you're going to feel really lonely. And I know for some people, they just they don't seem to want to talk or want to share their feelings, but most of the people I know that are like that are constantly working. They're busy themselves at their day job, and they're probably busy themselves in the evening, so they distract themselves all of the time, which is fine because it works for them. But then you do have to ask yourself what personal growth you're going to do if you're never going to stop and think about the way you feel. On the other hand, double-edged sword again, for someone like me who does think about everything, I could argue and say, what good has it done me? Because I'm in this situation now where I feel isolated, I feel alone, I feel lonely, I feel misunderstood. I have got people who I do feel actually are trying to do listen to me, and I've got people that I do resonate with, but I don't live with them. And I grew up in a household where there was my grandfather, and there were three women, my grandmother, my mother and my aunt. My family obviously had dysfunctions. Everybody's families, as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure there's some of you out there that will say, no, there was no dysfunctions in my family. That's fair enough. But for the most part, we're all pretty dysfunctional and have had dysfunctional upbringings to a certain degree, because there's no life manual. It was very old-fashioned, because I'm quite old now, so old-fashioned values. And living with my grandparents, I had even older-fashioned values. And my grandfather, yes, he was the man of the house, but in a way where it was not a burden as in something he didn't want to do, but it was a big responsibility on his shoulders to look after his family and to make sure every problem that came along was sorted out. And my grandmother was a fantastic housewife, and she worked really hard in the war as well, so she worked really hard, and she was a fantastic housewife. And she looked after the home beautifully, house proud, and kept a beautiful house. My nan and granddad worked as a really good team together. My aunt lived there, my mum lived there, and I lived there. So as a child, I had all of these adults, just me, and all of these adults taking care of me and looking after me. For me, I was very lucky because I grew up in a nice house that was clean and looked after, and everything was done by routine. My grandmother would cook at the same time every day. She'd get up at the same time. My granddad would get up at the same time, and everything would happen like clockwork every single day. So I grew up with that kind of routine. Not everybody's grown up with a routine like that, and for me it was really important, and I thrived on it. So that when you grow up and then you go off and you have your own family, and you kind of replicate that in a way. You never replicate it the same, do you? But you replicate it in a certain way. And then obviously your kids grow up and maybe they leave home, and then you suddenly find yourself in a situation where you're just alone. You're just on your own. And the reason why I'm on my own is because of every single thing I've ever done has led me to this moment where I find myself, on my own. So I do blame myself. I do take full responsibility for that, even though other people are involved. and even though other people should take responsibility for their part in things, I find myself in a situation which is so far removed from my upbringing, and I think inside of me all of the time, every second of every day, I'm craving for that routine, that family connection, that warmth that I felt as a child, that I just feel I'm never ever going to get back. I wish my nan and my granddad could come back. I'm so lucky. Again, I'm so lucky that my aunt is still alive, and my mum and my aunt, and you know, I should definitely be round their houses, spending more time with them and helping them than I'm doing. They need some help with housework and things, and I should be round there doing it, you know. So and I should be so grateful, and that's where I should really feel the gratitude is in place properly, that I should be spending that time whilst they're still here on this planet, whilst they're still living and breathing. My dad also, and he's absolutely amazing, but he's been my dad since I was about 13, but I'd actually known him since I was like a really tiny little child. So my biological dad, he was not a nice person, and I didn't want anything to do with him, and he wasn't around anyway. The father that I look to as a father, who I believe in my heart is my father, is not my biological dad, but that doesn't matter. Again, I'm so lucky and honoured that I've got him in my life, and they're just around the corner from me, and I really should be around there. Instead of, you know, all the time I'm just procrastinating and trying to work and trying to get things done and failing and trying to, you know, run the businesses and run the yard and do the land and run the house and deal with other things and problems. But I should be spending more time with what really matters, which is, you know, which are my parents, my aunt and my uncle, because, you know, like that thing they put up in Tesco occasionally when they want to sell something, when it's gone, it's gone. Every time I lose someone that I love, I just feel that now I live in a reality that is completely new, because for the whole of my life that person existed and was on this planet, and now they're gone. It's like a different reality. They're just not here anymore. And I hope and pray there is something, you know, after we die, but you know, that's another topic for another day, really, isn't it? I just wanted to say that I feel very lonely, and I can't solve that within myself. I can't solve the loneliness, and it's painful, and it hurts. I do have friends and I do have family, and yet here I am in this situation. You know, what can I do about it? There must be something I can do to rectify this. Anyway, from the Hour of the Beast, until the next time.